most people don't stop to think how important it was what happened to teach them something. I learned that very early in life. When something happens, there's a reason for it. You stop and think what happened and why it happened. And you don't want that for yourself. You don't agree with it. So I think that not being a person who, I never drank and I never smoked. My father made 4 barrels of wine a year, and I used to have to squash the grapes, and I'd see spiders and webs, and hey, that was not appetizing to me. I'm not going to put that poison in my body. My father, oh, he's that ferments out. You don't worry about that. Oh. No way. I could never drink booze. Whiskey, I tasted that, I almost choked to death. But, these things happen for a reason, though, really. But your opportunities of thinking to decide what you're going to do are there every minute of your life. And if you don't stop and think, you don't mature and grow. Some people skid their wheels their whole life, and then they waste it away. But I could honestly say that I admired my mother and my father for their discipline in trying to teach you what was important in life. My grandchildren now make a big impression on me because of their ability to cope with what they have. And in addition to that, they're reasonably intelligent young people. And this gives you a sense of responsibility to try to give them the tools to compete. It doesn't make any difference whether they go to college or not, but if you can guide them, well, here's a place you can make a living, this place here and this place there, that was fine. I always remembered when I was scratching to make a couple pennies when I was young, that my brother-in-laws were not an aggressive bunch of people. They didn't work. They didn't want to work. My sisters worked. It's very unfortunate, but I could always remember I'd be caddying up at Manakee and come home with $1.25 in my pocket, and my one brother-in-law would say to me, "Oh, Andrew, loan me $0.25. I'll pay you back." I said, "How are you going to pay me back? You're not even working." It made you think. Ordinarily, it'd say, "Yeah, here, I know you'll pay me back." I didn't. I wanted to know how he was going to do it. He didn't have a job. But I guess the point I'm trying to drive home is there really is no excuse for any young person not to develop a sense of reason and responsibility, and above all to have. If you don't have pride in yourself, you're not going to amount to much. I'll tell you right now.
You got to believe it.
You have to present yourself in a way that is beyond anybody's method of life. If you don't take pride, and I guess that's what it comes down to. You want to be prideful. You don't want to be like the rest of the bums. And that's the way it worked. I'll tell you, a lot of my boyfriends, they went out and they drank, they smoked, they got in trouble with their girlfriends. That wasn't for me. I just didn't like it. That's all. And I had an enjoyable young life when I look back at it, because I never let anybody influence me. I don't know whether I told you this or not, but my mother and I used to be battling all the time, because I was a headstrong kid. So when my dad would come home from work, she'd say to him, "You go down the basement and take all those dirty clothes off before you come upstairs." And of course, she says, "And your son's got a hard head, just like you. He's stubborn." You know what his answer was? "Wait a minute. If he's not stubborn, he's not worth anything." I heard that, I laughed, and of course he always imitated the engines going woof, 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 woof. He was referring to my mother, always complaining, you know. But that was a good lesson, you know. I really and truly can say I learned so much by listening and observing what was going on. And I could pretty much put it together. It gave me a creative mind, I'll tell you. My dad used to take us to New York to see his brothers. There was 12 brothers. They weren't all from one marriage, you know. And this one uncle used to tell me, I don't know whether he was a college graduate, but boy, he knew the words. He used to look at the dictionary all the time, and he used to put me in his Auburn and let me steer the wheel, you know. But he was very successful in the diamond dye industry. And the one uncle owned a diamond dye factory. My sister worked for him. And those people sort of gave me some sense of importance, of how important it was to strive for something that you think is important, and not just make a lot of excuses why you couldn't arrive at that thing. You know, that may take you a little longer, but you'll get there if you have the persistence. I really can honestly say that I'm satisfied with my life. I don't think I would do it any different, honestly. If I had the same opportunities, there might be a few little glitches I'd change, but the basic pattern is there. I still would like to be an aviator, pilot, and all this stuff. Hey, yeah, I had over 1,000 hours in combat, and you know there's a percentage that says something's going to happen. I think I'm skating on thin ice.